Guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is entitled Guy Knocks Himself Out with a Rubber Mallet After Slashing My Car's Tires, and Then He Screws Up. Preface. This situation is still percolating and is definitely a doozy. My apologies, this might get long. A very good friend of mine I've known for more than a decade reached out after radio silence for 6 months. This isn't particularly unusual for her. She's the feline type of friend who'll reach out when she feels like it, and this isn't the first time she's fallen off the face of the earth. She's reached out to me because she can't get into her laptop. I helped her set up. She's forgotten the password and the facial recognition thing isn't working. I mount up and head over, and I honestly didn't recognize her until she spoke. She'd lost a significant amount of weight, and not in a good way. I gave her a hug and was honestly startled when she squealed in pain. In the past I've witnessed this girl try to kick me in the shin, miss, kick a cinder block instead and break 2 toes without making a sound. Long story short, her facial recognition wasn't working right because she'd lost enough weight that her facial structure wasn't recognized any longer. I got it sorted and we talked a little bit, and she admitted her relationship wasn't going very well. I suggested that maybe she might want to take a step back and have a think, and if she wanted to do that, she was welcome to crash at my place. She said she'd think about it and would call me. Well, the next day she called me in tears and asked if she could still crash in my guest room. I said of course, and we did the thing. She didn't grab all of her stuff, just a few changes of clothes and the essentials. We got to my house, and I discovered my friend had a new best friend, my dog. He stuck to her like Velcro. Refused to go for walkies unless she came with, would snuggle any chance he got, and even hurled his frisbee at her and did a play bow and growl combo that is impossible to resist. Shortly thereafter it was decided that frisbee is an outdoor sport. I pretended I wasn't the tiniest bit jealous. Sunday morning at about 2 a.m. my car alarm started going off, which it's never done before sitting in my driveway. I throw on a coat and go to investigate, and there's a random pickup with the door open and engine running in the driveway. Getting closer to my car, which had all 4 tires slashed, I saw a man flat on his back unconscious. There was also a rubber mallet laying not far from his hand and a smudge on my window. What followed probably made the 911 operator's night. 911, please state the nature of your emergency. Hi, I'm Ulf and I'm located at 1234 Not Doxing Myself Avenue. Could you please have police and an ambulance respond to my location as soon as possible? We can do that. Could you provide a little more information? Well, it looks like some jackass slashed my tires and tried to break my car's window, but the mallet he was using bounced off the window and he appears to have knocked himself out with it. I'm sorry, what? When the cops arrived, he'd started to come around, but wasn't feeling up to trying to run away quite yet. The ambulance folks checked him out and said he was safe to transport in a police car. They searched him and found a knife and ID, then he got put in timeout in the back of a squad car. While they were talking to me about what had happened, they joked about how rough this case would be to solve. Things rapidly got less funny though when they checked the guy's truck. He had a chopped steak wrapped up in butcher paper on his passenger seat with a bunch of ground glass in it. Homeboy was lucky he was in a police car when that little tidbit got disclosed. The cops said they'd get back to me about the report they were working on and said they'd called tow trucks for Homeboy's pickup and my poor car. I went back inside shaking from being outside in pajamas in New England in February and more than a little bit of fear and rage. My friend was waiting inside and wanted to know why her boyfriend's truck was in my driveway and what the hell that was all about. I didn't think I could keep my temper at that moment, so I just scooped up my pup and snorkeled him until he stopped struggling and just did a kind of whimper. He'll only accept snorkels on his terms, but I'm bigger than him. Then I told my friend that her boyfriend ducked my car all the way up and had a nice, yummy steak with glass in it for the dog. She said, "I'm sorry, what?" In the following discussion several things came to light. My friend gave her boyfriend my address because she thought he was worried for her safety and wanted to know where she was. Boyfriend found out I had a dog because she'd posted some pictures of him on social, joking about being in love with him / sharing a bed. My friend was now furious. Funny thing about domestic abuse cases, a lot of the time mental fatigue and trauma can do awful things to people's minds. The overwhelming feeling of helplessness and despair can absolutely cripple any efforts to stop the abuse or leave the situation. Normally it requires a lot of patience, time, and therapy to recover. Sometimes though, the abuser will do something so cartoonishly evil that everything snaps back into focus, and the person that was being abused winds up in a headspace that probably inspired the Greek Furies back in the day. By the time the flatbed tow truck hitched up my car to get the tires replaced, we had a plan. Neither of us thought he'd go away long enough for me to really feel safe in my own home based on what he was discovered doing. Being an awful human isn't a crime, and vandalism and maybe animal cruelty would have him out on bail almost immediately. Someone dumb enough to use a rubber mallet on a car window would probably try again, convinced this time he wouldn't be caught. Domestic violence, however, can be a good deal more serious. Sadly, there was a lot of that. Once the sun came up, I borrowed a car, and we went to the We get out and make our way to the doors and then immediately head back to the car because there's an armed guard at the door and my friend's starting to panic at the notion of interacting with the guard. I ask her to wait in the vehicle and go up to the guard and explain the situation. He understands immediately and gets on his walkie to summons the Mama Bear Squad. They help document everything and get the police involved. Here's hoping it's enough to keep the dude away from me and mine. Small update. Small update is small because I hurt. Turns out moving someone out in the midst of a bad breakup is pretty straightforward when half the couple is in lockup. Half an apartment's worth of stuff is currently strewn about my part of the house higgledy-piggledy because I can't be arsed to move anything else, and she's not allowed to. Doctor said no heavy lifting, not her idea. She turned her key into the landlord after landlord verified she hadn't done anything shady like leaving an upper decker or putting holes in the walls. Landlord wouldn't give up her half of the deposit, which I really can't blame him for. Funniest part? Me and her dad had no trouble with the furniture. It was the boxes and bags of clothing that damn near killed me. Doggo was not pleased when he discovered the trash bag of dirty laundry wasn't his new bed. Friend was not pleased to discover my dog has a klepto streak when it comes to dirty socks. Can someone please explain to me why girls feel the need to have more than 50 pairs of shoes? No word on charges or bail yet, I'm keeping a close eye. Update. Friend is doing as well as can be expected. Turns out the reason things went as badly as they did wasn't what I thought. Friend's ex and I didn't get along. He always felt like he needed to establish himself as the smartest guy in the room. He wasn't smarter than me and his repeated attempts to prove he was kinda poisoned the well. I didn't push his buttons. I just don't take crap from anyone that's not paying me to do so. That makes him kind of in a hole but not a monster. No, that happened because of a double gut punch tragedy. My friend found out she was pregnant, and everyone even tangentially related to them was overjoyed at the news. Including a much beloved and very, very ill member of ex's family. The sick member of the family was resolved to stick it out to meet the new baby and fought as hard as they could to stay until that could happen. The pregnancy ended in miscarriage in the second trimester, and the much-beloved family member passed away within 2 days of hearing the sad news. Ex didn't react well to anything that went on after that, and that's when the abuse started. My friend was in such a funk she didn't resist, and then there was a new and very abusive normal. When she left her ex what little grasp on sanity he had was well and truly dust in the wind. The charges for the events I described in my post have been dropped and he's been remanded to a state mental health facility for treatment. I'm working with the police to see who I need to sue for damages to my vehicle since ex is enjoying his stay in a nice safe padded room with all the tapioca pudding he can eat. My friend and my floof had a bit of a falling out. She's got a shy bladder and he's got a desperate need to be there in your time of need on the porcelain throne. Eventually my friend put her foot down and started putting a rubber doorstop on the bathroom door so she can relieve herself in peace, and my floof is not happy about this. Yes, my dog can open the bathroom door. No, I haven't been able to go to the bathroom by myself in years. It makes her laugh when she hears the thud of him trying to open the door, so I'm just letting things slide. It makes me laugh when my pup reads her the riot act after she emerges. Would like to request the sage advice from Reddit, however. My friend feels like she needs to pull her weight and has resolved to do numerous chores around my house to make sure she's helping. Problem is that my friend is the least domestic female I have ever encountered. She's organized a room for me and totally forgotten where things got placed, broken a few things by wiping them with things they shouldn't be wiped with, and committed a dinner that very nearly killed me trying to choke down. Did you know rice can be burned? She's in a very, very fragile state and I haven't asked her to do a thing. In fact, I've reassured her that all she needs to do is entertain the dog and focus on getting herself back together. She insists she needs to contribute and I'm at a loss as to what she can do to assuage her guilt. Any suggestions on how to communicate that she's healing and not mooching? Final update. Problem solved itself. Friend has decided she will repaint my guest room. My guest room was remodeled into existence to serve as a nursery and was painted light blue. This apparently made friend uncomfortable for reasons that I'm embarrassed to admit I totally didn't see right away. She ambushed me with swatches. I know not how she got them. I suspect collusion with my parents. We actually had a disagreement about taupe or beige for a new color for the walls. I'm reevaluating my life choices and considering mailing back my man card. The next story is titled, The Howling Ballad of Dick Doorlady. Once upon a time I had the misfortune to accept a job as a Section 8 inspector in a large American city. Basically, the job was to inspect tenants' homes for various safety infractions and either the landlord or the tenant will have to fix it depending on who is responsible. Anyway, some tenants viewed the fact that the landlord was responsible for certain things as a license to demand everything. This was frustrating because I often had to dash away their hopes and dreams. HUD standards are low. This one was a doozy. This lady was in her mid-60s or so, had full Einstein hair, and complains about everything. Here is an odd observation for you. If they apologize for the mess, they will be the cleanest, clean people that you have ever seen. If they treat their home like a dumpster, they are the most entitled jackasses you will ever come across. This was the latter. It was not horrible relatively speaking, but there was a lot of regular trash all over. Regardless, she was insistent though that she had to show me all the dangerous conditions which were mostly nothing. I am not all that judgmental that she just throws trash everywhere. However, if you waste my time with nonsense, I will use that time to record all of the embarrassing trash that I see and add pictures of it to the report. For this, you could use the pass with comment feature, and it'll show up on the report but not necessarily fail the unit. The last bit she claimed was a fire hazard, which would be a serious issue and an emergency 24-hour repair on the part of the landlord, but given this lady's track record, I consider the possibility dubious. So, she gets to the fire hazard, which turns out to be an electrical outlet on the second floor, and, drumroll please, uses her fingernails to pry the outlet cover away from the wall. She insists that the fact that she can do this is a fire hazard. I did not say it but thought to myself, no lady. You are the fire hazard. The unit fails for some other minor reason, so it is in my queue the next month. Given the title of this story, you can probably guess that this isn't over. A week or so later I get an email from work forwarding a complaint from this crazy tenant. She is furious that I dared question the 500 Twinkie wrappers all over the unit, accused me of being a racist, demanded that no other Southerners be sent to her home, which is odd because I am from the Northeast and do not have anything resembling a Southern accent, and lastly and most hilariously claimed that the front elevation photo that I took looked too much like a penis. This is literally a photo of her front door proving that I was there. And she says it looks like a dick. Hence the title of this story, Dick Doorlady. If I still had access to that work email account, you better believe I would post a screenshot. Thank the Lord I have a better job now. The last story is titled, Bought Homeowner Association Planned Park from Tax Office. I flip and build houses in Texas. I've been acquiring lots for future builds and buying 3 to 4 here and there. A month ago, I stumbled across a county's appraisal district's unpaid taxes properties. Their list is over 10 pages long. Mostly mobile home sites. I drive by each lot and decide to buy 30 plus of them. One ends up being 3 acres and was the planned Homeowner Association park. Homeowner Association fizzled out and no one paid Homeowner Association dues since. The property tax has been unpaid for 10 years. The county took possession 4 years ago and no one bought it. So, I took the risk and dropped $5,000 into it. Another $2,000 in survey. Before today I've spent 5 minutes on the land. No one was there. Today I had free time and cruised out there. Ends up being an old man with his 1970s shitty teardrop camper, no electricity or water, an 80s model Chevy S10 truck. Trash bags everywhere. Pots, pans and just a mess. I politely ask if he had permission to be camping here. He mentioned it was owned by the Homeowner Association. I explained that they failed to pay taxes for 10 years and I now own it. He argued and I drove away calling sheriff. Advised by sheriff to write a handwritten 30-day eviction notice. He packed and left. While this is happening, another dude rides in on a dirt bike with fishing pole to fish the back acreage. I leave him alone and go home an hour away. Sheriff advised to install a gate and no trespassing signs. Tonight I bought signs and build a huge steel 20 feet gate. I'll install it tomorrow. Legal question is, what is the likelihood enough rumble happens that the Homeowner Association could get the property back? Are there any laws that they can buy it back? I bought a tiny house to move out there soon. Septic system scheduled for install. Water meters. Electric. I'll have $50,000 in this place by end of November. When I put this gate up tomorrow there will be some pissed off people. I have some deer cameras I plan to install to watch for trespassing. Update. Thanks for all the advice and comments. I hired a real estate attorney to review my plans and situation. They determined the Texas law that allows property owner buyback starts the day the deed first changed, which was more than 2 years ago, to the county's trustee. After 6 months, 2 years is up, there is no possibility of previous owner buyback. This particular county will not put property up for bid until after they hold it for 2 years. In Texas, after a tax sale, the previous owner had 6 months to buy back property with no structure. 2 years for property with structure or was homestead. So, this week I'll install the gate, cameras, and no trespassing signs. I hired a sanitary inspector to determine where to put a septic system. Survey to mark corners. And we'll start letting the community know it's no longer Homeowner Association property, which it hasn't been for more than 2 years. This is great because I've bought more than 30 other lots with the same situation in this area within the past few months and placed bids on 10 more yesterday. Thanks for listening.